What's up, YouTube? So I know it's been a long time since I've made a video. Honestly, the business really kind of took off, so I was focusing a lot more on building it and doing all the things that kind of go along with that, and kind of put the content creation on the back burner. I want to get back on that horse and start doing more videos again. So I figured a good way to start jumping back into this would be to do a video about what I've learned over the past 8 months since I started the business, and kind of share that with you guys in case any of you want to start your own business, you're interested in doing kind of the same thing, you kind of take the steps that I've learned. I know a lot of other YouTubers talk about the same kinds of things, but I figure I would just share kind of what I've learned and maybe see if it's helpful for some of you guys, right? So to kind of start off, right, this is going to be a video for people that want to jump into this business here in 2026, right? So if that's not something you're interested in or something that you want to do, this video is probably not going to be for you. I'm not really going to be talking about market updates and news and things like that. This is going to be purely just for those that want to get into the business. So, with that being said, it's going to be a little bit longer, and let's get into it. So, one of the first things that you need to understand is, yes, Pokemon is hot right now. Yes, you can make a lot of money doing it, but it's not going to be easy money, right? If you just want to flip cards really quick and then move on to the next thing, this isn't the video. This isn't what I'm going to be how to do. I want to build a business that's going to be long term. It's going to be stable, and that's kind of the advice that I'm going to be giving for anybody that wants to be here in 5 years, right? Not just the ones that want to be here for the next few months while it's hot, and then if it slows down, jump out. So, with that, you need to kind of have the right mentality if this is the business that you want to be in, right? Everybody looks at social media, look at all the YouTubers that are, successful. What you don't see are the ones that aren't, right? Social media kind of hides that a lot. So the people that are making bad decisions, bad choices, and don't last very long, you're not going to see them, right? You're only going to see the ones that are successful. So there is some kind of bias in that. So again, this is just a video to kind of clear some of that up and show you guys that, yeah, there's going to be bumps in the road, but it's not going to be something that stops you from doing this if it's something that you truly want to do, right? So this is going to be for business building kind of focus. With that, you have to understand early profits can be misleading, right? You buy 10 boxes of whatever, you sell it, you're like, cool, I made, $15, $20 per box. Like, this is great. As you scale up, there's going to be things that are going to cost you money, right? Shipping supplies, there's going to be a certain amount of overhead. Now, this is going to be, I don't have brick and mortar, this is online only. So if that's what you're going to be doing, sure, your overhead's going to be a lot lower, but we'll kind of get into some of the things that can start eating away at that profit, right? Um, you have to understand the market can change fast. A new product comes out and everybody's all hyped on it. Perfect example, let's say, Phantasmal Flames, Charizard UPC. When that came out, market went up to, 250-ish, give or take some, here or there, kind of wild the first few days. And then now you look at it like, what, 160. So if you would have gone out and kind of invested in all this Charizard UPC, thinking, oh, this is great, I'm going to be making, 250, it's going to go to the moon, and then it goes down, and you're like, well, I'm out all this money. So you have to be careful when you're going to this. Don't just chase that easy dollar, because sometimes you'll make it and sometimes you won't, right? And again, that's going to be the ebb and flow of this. It's kind of a common thing. Reprints are going to change market values, demand, hype cycles. You're going to take some losses here. Now, the goal is to kind of smooth out your losses, right? For every lost product that you have one or two that are kind of making up for it and making you that profit that can go in your pocket. So you need to kind of look at everything as a whole and don't just look at, oh no, the market is dipping right now, I got to get out and sell everything, right? That's what happened a lot in December. A lot of people didn't understand, hey, market kind of goes down a little bit. In December, everybody is kind of selling what they have. There's a lot of product up on the market. Pokemon is trying to push out a lot more because of the holidays, so prices dipped a little bit, right? And everybody kind of panicked. Oh no, price is dropping, the market's crashing, I gotta get out, I gotta sell. And they brought their stuff to market, and then we saw like another little 5% dip on top of the 10% we had, so everybody was thinking, oh no, is the market crashing? Like what's happening here? And they don't understand this. It's kind of the ebb and flow of the cycle. So you need to understand how that works and don't panic, right? If you have a solid business plan, you understand what's happening, you won't make those panic decisions and lose, right? So for me, I bought the dip, had extra product, so come January when prices kind of rebound a little bit, you're sitting good and pretty, right? But that's something you can only do obviously if you have capital, right? So let's kind of talk about money and cash flow here a little bit. Cash flow can be more important than just straight margin, right? You could be profitable and have no money. So what do I mean by that, right? If you have $50,000 and you bought $50,000 worth of inventory, cool. You have $50,000 worth of stuff that you can sell and make 20, 30%, whatever it is, on all this stuff. But until you've sold it, you don't have any money. So if it's a slow mover, that's dangerous product to sit on, right? Because all that capital is tied up. You can't use it for something else. The bills are coming due, and you have a product that may take you a minute to sell. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't have some items that are slow movers, right? Maybe they move slow, but they're at bigger margins, right? Or it builds inventory depth for you. That's going to be something you have to decide based on the amount of capital that you have and how fast you need to keep cycling your cash flow. But early on, if you're going to be starting, right, survival matters a little more than optimization. You got to be able to buy a product and be able to sell it, so that way you can make whatever little bit you're going to make and buy something else, right? So maybe you've got 10 boxes or whatever it is you're going to be selling. You sell those, and you made enough boxes. Now you can buy 11 or 12, right? And you can sell those. Now you can buy 14 or 15, right? You kind of keep scaling the amount that you have to build that inventory depth, to build that customer base. So don't just chase that easy dollar. Sometimes it's not always going to be easy, right? With inventory, there's going to be risk. Not all sealed necessarily is going to go to the moon, right? Sometimes you're going to have things dip, right? So for example, like I mentioned, the Charizard X UPC, right? Sure, it went up, but then boy did it come back down. Now this isn't an investment video. I'm not going to argue here that a year from now it's going to be worth the same and that's not going to go back up to the moon again, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you buy a product and you need to sell it. So within the next month, 2, 3 months, whatever, hopefully you're not sending things for that long, right? It can be a little tough. But it's not always going to be more than what you bought it for. Or depending on where you're buying it, right? You got to be careful and not sit on it too long. You got to be able to churn it. Some products will stall and hold steady. Some are going to drop. Some will go up, right? For example, if you have 151 product right now that you bought even a month ago, you're going to be doing pretty well because it's going to only be going up from here, right? So you have to be careful with what you're getting. You need to understand the cycles. You need to understand and keep up with the news and print runs, playability. Sometimes chase cards take a minute to become considered a chase card, right? Sometimes a chase card is a chase card right out the gate, and then it drops, and that causes your set value to change. So you need to understand that. You don't need everything. What you need to have is a proper variety of SKUs where it's balanced, right? You got your slow movers, but bigger margins. You've got some that are going to be a little more quicker to flip, a little more in demand, that you can keep churning and moving things. So that's going to be something that you need to understand and build out, right? Now, how do you get someone to buy something from you in the first place? Great. You've got this product, you have it, you got a lot of great stuff, you got it for a good deal. How do you actually get it sold, right? Again, this isn't about teaching you how to go on Facebook Marketplace and flipping it there, right? That's how you, sure, can make a quick dollar, but it's not going to be a long-term thing, right? So you have to remember, if you're trying to build a business, you're building a brand, right? You're not just selling boxes of cards, right? Pokemon can be very trust-based. There's a lot of people selling Pokemon. why should they buy from you, right? And that's something that's the argument that you have to make, right? People buying sealed product are going to care about reliability, communication. What's your strength? Why are they going to buy from you versus buying from me? Buying from, Brian at Pokémon, he's a huge YouTuber, he makes a lot of content, reaches a lot of people. Why would they buy from me and not him? Why would they not buy from anybody else? So you need to kind of figure out what's your strength, what can you do really well. Why would they buy from you again? Okay. So like for me, one of the things that I did is one of my strengths is, okay, well, I don't want to race to the bottom. I don't want to be, the person that's just making, 2 cents on everything that I sell because I can offer the best price. And then there it is, right? We're not, unless that's what you want to do, by all means, but think about, what do people want? Well, if they're buying cards and they're collectors, they want to make sure the product arrives to them safely, right? So for me, I was like, well, I will spend more time and I will do really good packaging, right? That's going to make sure that everything that I send out gets there in exactly the same condition that I sent it in. They're going to appreciate it, and they're going to enjoy that they spent money, they got fast shipping. I try to ship out within 24 to 48 hours max. Doesn't always happen, but for the most part, I hit that goal. And everything is really secured and packaged really well. And a lot of my reviews are focused on the packaging and shipping speed aspect of it, right? So that's kind of the niche that I took. Not saying that's the niche that you have to take or it's the best one, but think about what is it that you can do to kind of build that brand a little bit, so that kind of makes a little something stick in their head. Saying, oh yeah, like, I bought from them and it was trustworthy and reliable, and I got the product in condition, this, that, and the other. And doing content like this is a great way to build a brand, right? You can build a brand before you even start selling anything, right? You don't have to go to a Pokemon business even selling Pokemon cards. I know that sounds really weird, but you can build a brand if you're talking about news and market updates, and just talking about anything related to that. You can build a brand following that way before you even start selling a single thing, right? I kind of started the opposite, right, and that worked for me. Started with some content, but kind of fell off, and getting back on the horse again and trying to push that side of it. But you don't have to sell anything to start building that brand. So if you like doing content, you want to do social media, by all means, start with that. Build a following, and then start jumping into the aspect of selling. Now, in order to sell, you have to have product. And so I want to talk about something that a lot of people don't understand, and that's distribution, right? A lot of people think, oh, well, you just get a business, you get distribution, and lo and behold, here's your product, you start selling, have at it. That's not the reality. At least not the reality in 25 and 2026, okay? If you jumped in, beforehand, before Pokemon really kind of took off, sure, you probably could have got your business license, got some distributor access, started getting product, and then now, because you have history with them, you're getting some product now and can make a little bit of bread with that. Obviously, if you're watching this video, it's because you want to start, which means you don't have that yet. And so I can tell you the reality, for me, starting in 2025, is you're not going to get any Pokemon product. And it may be difficult for you to even get distribution. It took me a minute to get it. Now, you have to understand, distributors don't have all this product just sitting around. Okay, as soon as it comes in, it's already allocated out to other accounts that have been with them. Either they're really, really large accounts, right? They have huge amounts to spend, or they're accounts that have been with them for a long time. Okay, so you have this many people looking to get this much stuff. This is what's coming in and available. You're not getting any because they're hardly getting any. But it doesn't mean you can't get a distributor, and I would argue it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to get one. Now let me explain. The Pokemon market, I think it's going to go in waves, right? Bull market to a bear market to a bull market to a bear market. Right now, we're in a bull market. right? So if you try to go and get distribution, they're going to look at you and be like, okay, well, why should I let you open an account, right? If you are online only, right? That's what I focus on, online only. Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. So you should still try to get one, but you have to lay some groundwork in order to make that happen. Okay, because they're gonna ask, why should I give you an account? Why should I bother? Right? Especially if you're looking for Pokemon, you're not gonna get it. They know that's probably what you want, and you need to give them a reason why they should even open an account for you anyways, despite the fact knowing you're not going to be able to touch any of that stuff. Um, so what I did is I waited. Right, I had my business license and everything set up, but I didn't go and apply until I had a good chunk of sales already to show them I am not going to distribution for the purpose of getting Pokemon cards in order to start selling and running my business. Right? Go to them and show you already have a business model, you already have it set up, and you are just going to now open an account as an established business. And I had to, tell them that I'm looking. I understand, right? Don't go and asking for Pokemon. They're gonna let you like, okay, well, obviously you don't understand how this works. I don't want to deal with you because you're not gonna buy anything anyway. You go in with your established business, with your numbers, and let them know I'm gonna be buying other stuff. I know I can't get access to Pokemon, but I will buy the other items that you need to sell anyways, and this is going to help grow your account with them, right? You need to have history, spend, no friction, right? You don't want to be a problem account. So what is it you're going to buy? You got to buy all the stuff that it's harder to move, it's slower, like the accessories, binders, card sleeves, all those deck boxes, things like that. That's what you're going to need to buy, and you're going to have to sell it to get your money back so you can go back and buy more and do this over a long period of time. Again, that's why I said this is going to be a long-term business that you have to build here, not just a quick flip, because you're not going to buy a bunch of binders and then flip them. This is not going to happen. It's not how it works. So that's why you build a brand, you build out your business to be able to bring that customer in, have that trust, where they are going to buy seals, they're going to buy some accessories every now and then, and you will slowly build that relationship with your distributor. Because that's how it works, right? They know you want the hot stuff. Everybody wants the hot stuff. They have all this other auxiliary product they need to sell. So if you're not going to help them move it, why are they going to give you the good stuff, right? It goes both ways. You need to understand that. And if you do, that's going to put you in a much better position because they will respect you more for understanding how the game is played, and you can build your business properly to be able to engage in those other types of products, right? So that's why if you go to my website, you will see that I'm also selling other one, MetaZoo, Shadowverse, Cookie Run is a newer one that seems to be relatively stable and doing decently well. So that's another avenue that I have to be able to get stuff, sell it. I'm not making a huge amount of money on it, but it's a way for me to spend some capital with them, be able to move it, and go back and buy more. And that's just, and every now and then I've gotten lucky once. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I was lucky once. I saw one item that came in stock, and I was able to get my allocation for that particular SKU. It wasn't a whole lot because everything is limited, but at least I was able to get a little something. I just happened to be lucky and catch it when it came in, and it wasn't already pre-allocated. But that's what I'm talking about, right? You need to go in, have your business already set up, so that way you don't go to them saying, hey, my business depends on whether or not you give me access to stuff. Because at that point, they're just thinking, well, I'm not going to bother. Like, it's a waste of time. So have yourself set up, go apply, and be able to absorb other SKUs, other auxiliary items that are not sealed Pokemon product, and be able to move that out to your customers and begin building that relationship. Because if you're in this for long term, when things turn down in the market and they now need to start, moving product that they can't sell that's sealed, that's when they're going to remember, hey, this guy has been with us for a minute. He's been helping me sell the binders and all the other things that I want taken off my hands anyway, and they don't cause problems, right? What do I mean by don't cause problems? I've gotten, I bought tons of binders. A couple of them come scratched. I'm not going to call them up and be like, hey, give me a scratch binder, can I get a new one? Like, don't cause problems, right? I just take it. Not if you don't want to, that's fine, that's on you. But don't cause problems. If you pre-order something and it comes in as allocated, don't cancel, right? Don't cause problems for your rep. Otherwise, all the work that you've done, all the spend that you've done, it's not going to be worth anything if they look at you and say, hey, that's a problematic account. So have good communication with your rep. Make sure you pay on time. A lot of times your reliability will matter more than your size. I know everyone says you have to spend a lot, and that's true, right? You can't just go and spend $50 here and there, but you don't need to spend the tens and tens of thousands necessarily, right? It's probably better, and I think a lot of other YouTubers probably agree with me. If you bought, say, $5,000 worth of stuff every month, would look better than buying $30,000 worth of stuff every 6, right? Um, you have to remember you're dealing with a person, right? When you're dealing with a rep. So if they're seeing your name come up on orders, good clear communication, you're paying on time, the order's delivered, you're not making complaints about it, that's what's going to stick in their mind, more than, oh, he spent $30,000 and disappeared for 6 months, right? Versus you have that contact with them every month. So have a good relationship with your distributor, and then you will reap the benefits later on down the line. I know for a lot of you that may be disappointing, but that's just the reality of the game. Don't go in expecting to get Pokemon for a long time right now. So the next thing I want to talk about is online versus the brick and mortar reality, right? So I don't have a brick and mortar. I'm not going to speak about how to go about setting that up. For online, that's what I do, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Online, it's obviously easier to start, right? You don't need to go and get a lease. You don't need to find a location. You just need to pick your name, pay a few dollars to get your domain. Go, Shopify or Wix. I use Shopify, and get your website set up, start getting your products in, and start selling, right? Brick and mortar has higher overhead, obviously a lot higher overhead, because you got utilities, you've got your lease or your mortgage, and you have all that stuff that comes with it, right? Obviously, on the downside of online only, you can't run trade nights. You're not going to be doing, tournaments and things like that. So you're not going to get the pre-release decks and the tournament decks and all those kinds of things, right? So there's pros and cons. You just need to understand the medium that you choose. What are the pros of that? What are the cons of that, right? Even for for a brick and mortar, sealed product alone is rarely going to be paying their bills, right? They have to move a lot of singles, and that's really what a lot of them make a lot of their money. It's going to be the accessories and the singles. Because you have lower overhead as an e-commerce, you don't necessarily need to worry about getting huge amounts of singles. Not saying that you shouldn't if you can, but you don't need to be as concerned with that aspect of it the way a brick and mortar does. Your margin on sealed can do a lot more for you and goes a lot longer than for a brick and mortar. For a brick and mortar, they can build a lot more of the community because of the events that they can run. As e-commerce, your ability to do that is going to be directly tied to your ability to make content and build your brand. Now, a brick and mortar can do that too, right? They can have an online presence, but they can also have that local community aspect that you as an online cannot have. So again, it kind of makes even more importance for you to really focus on that content, right? YouTube videos, social media presence, Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, things like that. So just know that it's a great advantage you have, but it's also the kind of only one lane you have to build that community. Um, so say you've gotten your product, you've got your business license, you've got your distribution going, you're kind of doing your thing now, um, and things are going swimmingly, right? Until a little bump in the road, and this is what a lot of people don't talk about. So there are some risks in doing it with online. With online, all your sales are obviously going to be paid for online. You're shipping everything out. Um, with that comes a lot of fraud and chargeback. Well, I don't want to say a lot. That might be misleading, and I don't mean to scare anybody off. But just know that it is something that you will have to deal with, right? There's no way to 100% never deal with any fraud, never deal with any chargebacks. For those that know, a chargeback is basically, someone buys something on your site, and then you ship it out, and then later on the bank says, hey, guess what? We were told by the customer that this was an unauthorized charge, right? So they take the money back from you. You already sent the product out, and now you're in a chargeback dispute with the bank. It can be very difficult to win because a lot of times they side with uh, the buyer. You're going to take some losses, right? I've had some chargeback cases. I have a couple open right now. Um, I won one. I lost another one. The ones I have right now, there's one big one that I'm in a pretty good spot to win, and another one where I know I'm going to take a little hit on it because they're going to side with them. This is what it is. Um, that is something that you're going to have to know going in and accept that there's going to be a certain amount of your um, transactions that are going to come back as chargeback, and you're not going to win all of them. The first one that I had was a few months back, and it was for like $900. And I had signature delivery on it. It got delivered. They still said that um, it was an unauthorized charge, and even though signature delivery occurred and they signed to receive the package, the bank still sided with them, saying, well, the fact that it was signed doesn't mean that it was authorized on the initial charge. And I was out $800, and the product was gone. And that stung for a little bit, right? That kind of stuck with me, and it did kind of make me look at all the transactions coming in, especially if they were, in the higher dollar amount. Like, do I even want to deal with it? And spending a lot of time, it's kind of agonizing and stressing over a lot of these orders. Once I shipped them out, okay, is this one going to come back with a chargeback? Is that one going to come back with a chargeback? Um, until I kind of realized, hey, you know what? Like, that's just part of the business, right? If you freak out about every single little risk factor, this business is not for you, right? And I don't mean to say that in a harsh or mean way, but just know that when you step into this business, there's going to be those actors that do that, and that's going to kind of just be the cost of it, right? So whether you want to price your stuff, $1 or $2 more to kind of offset that, or you want to save some money, if you're worried about your capital, just put it aside, so that way when you do have a chargeback, you're not going to be completely sunk because you put money aside. You can replace that product, whatever it is, whatever situation you're dealing with. Um, just know it's going to happen. Now, there are things you can do to reduce the frequency that it happens, or put yourself in a better position to win a higher percentage of those chargebacks, right? And you absolutely should, and maybe I'll make a separate video about that. But just know that's going to be something you have to deal with. Another one is platform issues, right? So whether you're on Wix or Shopify, at some point randomly, you may or may not be asked to verify the product that you have in order to continue selling it. I've talked about this in one of my previous videos, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But Shopify did the same thing to me, right? They said, hey, unless you can verify the authenticity of your product, you're going to have to take the SKUs down, right? So if you're unable to do that, obviously, you could be sunk pretty quick. So just know that's probably going to happen, and you need to be prepared to deal with that, right? Another one, shipping problems. You're going to have problems with shipping, right? whether it's the carrier lost the package, they damaged it, uh, they don't scan it and it ends up in the wrong place. Whatever the case is, you're going to have problems with shipping that you're going to have to deal with. It's a headache, it's a pain, but that just comes with the territory when everything is being shipped, right? You're not handing the product to the customer right then and there, and it's done. You're shipping and all the problems that go with it. So just be prepared for that. Any mistakes you make is going to cost you real money, right? If you ship out the wrong product, you messed up and they ordered, this booster bundle, you said that booster bundle, you're going to have to fix that, right? Unless you don't care about your brand, in which case I don't think you're going to be around very long, but you're going to have to eat that and fix it. Um, you sent a damaged product, right? Whatever, you didn't package properly, whatever it is, if you make a mistake, you're going to have to eat that loss, right? So again, just be prepared for some of these things. So I'll probably do some more videos, a little more in-depth, especially about the chargeback issues, because that's one that I think a lot of people could benefit from learning what it is and how to properly build your case to defend yourself against a chargeback. But those are some of the risks that you need to know going into this, right? Moving on, decide whether you're going to be a niche versus a general store, right? And so I would say when you first start out, unless you just have a huge amount of capital, you can buy all kinds of stuff. You need to kind of start off with a niche that you got to pick, right? So I started off with Japanese, right? I was able to find suppliers, get Japanese product going, and I started from there, right? And then now I've since moved on to, I still carry Japanese, but now I have a lot of English product, right? Tons of English. I do One Piece. I do, like I said, some of the other off TCGs, the MetaZoo, Cookie Run, Shadowverse, looking at doing some White Schwartz and Gundam. But I also now have Funkos and other collectible figurines and Dungeons and Dragons items, right? So started off niche, take my profits that I was getting and kind of move into other categories, which I would highly suggest if you can, right? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and then if Pokemon starts slowing down, your whole business model now slows down, right? Versus you kind of expand a little bit, move into other branches, other franchise and things, you have a little more resiliency. But that's your choice, right? Not saying that that's what you have to do. There can be plenty of successful businesses that are solely on Pokemon franchise, and that's fine. This is just the route that I've taken and my thought process on it. But in the beginning, though, definitely, again, like unless you have a huge amount of money, you need to focus on something. Build that out, build that brand, that community around that niche, and kind of decide where you want to go from there. Do you want to go even further into that and start really building your SKU depth in that? You want to be the best at whatever it is that you've chosen, and go for it. You want to really focus on having singles and slabs, go for it. You want to do English sealed versus Japanese sealed, whatever it is, just pick a niche and start with that first before trying to move out, instead of trying to do everything all at once. And it's really going to be a struggle to do that. So depth beats width at the beginning, I would say, right? If people are going to use, okay, well you got 2 boxes, you got like 1 or 2 of those items, 1 or 2 of these, 1 or 2 of all these other random things. I don't think it would be as strong as them showing up saying, oh, you have 6 products of Japanese boxes with quantities of all those. I think that's a lot stronger than 2 Japanese and 2 random this and 2 random of some other item. That's just my 2 cents on that. Right. Okay, so for content and community, like I was saying, your content can build a lot of trust before you even start selling, right? It helps you with launches. You have a community where you can announce things with. People buy from people, right? They're not necessarily buying from a machine, right? We're not the Pokemon vending machines where they're just going up and buying it from some company. They're buying it from you. At least that's what it's going to be if you're putting your face on it doing content. So make sure that you are really building that community content because that's going to help you long term, right? You don't want someone, well, I'm not saying you don't want, but you would much rather have someone that comes to buy from you once and then will buy from you again, right? So I run ads on Meta and Google. If someone clicks on my link, that costed me money to get them to click the link. Hopefully, they will also buy something from me, right? And that's going to have costed a certain amount of money for me to have gotten them. Me making this YouTube video costed me nothing. Time, right? But no money. If someone were to watch this video, subscribe, and buy something from me, it didn't cost me anything to get that. And then if they buy from me again and again, those are just ongoing sales that I've now gotten because of this, and it cost me anything. Versus someone sees my link and clicks it and then buys something. Great, I got the sale, but that costed me a certain amount of money. Hopefully they will buy more, and I get more long-term value out of that. But doing content costs you nothing, and it can really build the repeat buyers, right? Because now they know you, they trusted you, they bought something, they got the product, they were happy with it, hopefully, and will continue to buy again and engage with your content, which is going to make the algorithm happy, which is going to show it to more people who are then going to see your content, subscribe, buy, and it kind of just builds from there. So think about that, and really, if you have the time and the ability, do content. Right, so kind of some of the final advice: play the long game, right? Have patience; it will be rewarded. This really punishes greed, right? If you see something and you kind of invest heavily into that without thinking it through, it can really cost you a lot of money, right? If it goes up in price, great. If what you got goes down, you're SOL, right? So don't be greedy, because the people in this business that are going to last are the ones that are going to build slowly, right? They're going to learn constantly from their mistakes, learn as they go along. Don't panic. Like I was talking about, the December Pokemon market crash. Don't panic, and if you're still hearing, if you're still here in this video after all the stuff that I've mentioned, you're probably the right kind of person for this, because I know I've kind of gone through a lot of stuff here. But if you really understand what I'm talking about, you can probably make it in this business. If you don't understand, if it's my fault that I haven't been clear, please ask comments in the questions below. I'll clear it up for you. But if all this just sounds like it's not something that you're all about, you're probably not going to be in this business very long if that's what you choose to do. So, just to close it out, right? I'm inviting discussion. Let's talk about this, answer your questions. I'm going to try to make some more real Pokemon business content. I feel like I've been doing this long enough now, and I've grown to a size where I have a pretty good understanding of at least like the first 6 months to a year of what building something like this entails. And ask questions. Let me know what you would like me to go more into detail about. And thanks for sticking through the video. I know it's a longer one that I've ever done, but I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.